This is the story I want to share with you. I want you to think everything is perfect. The sky is always super blue, the views are always epic, and in our world, by the way, everyone is always smiling. Here's the problem. Real life isn't edited, color corrected, and doesn't have an epic soundtrack. In real life, hearts break. Sometimes you get tough news.
No one here likes you in the office, and we are going to have to let you go.
It rains sometimes, and sometimes your world gets turned upside down. The challenge with our social media age is we've learned to compare the highlight reels of other people to our own behind the scenes. We've become so obsessed with comparison that we've forgotten who we are. Our minds are preoccupied with notifications, busy schedules, the expectations of others, and keeping up with the Joneses. Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
So we're trying something new, not another highlight reel. This is an anti-highlight reel. The truth is 99% of our life isn't spent standing on a summit. It's spent trying to get to the summit. Our lives are mostly full of sending emails, having calls, networking, going to trade shows, building relationships, and doing whatever we can to build our business.
We hear no a lot. In fact, we hear no way more than yes.
Probably because crazy ideas require the right breed of crazy people in order to greenlight them, which in itself is a full-time and awesome job. Let's talk about failure. I can share of that one time we flew to Maine, but I accidentally left my laptop on the plane, so half of our trip was spent trying to get my laptop back. Or that time we went to Utah for a product shoot, got to the top of the mountain only to realize that product had been stolen. I could tell you about times flights got canceled, camera gear broke, almost lost all my footage, budgets got pulled, or when a day shoot turned into a day at the hospital.
Living the dream.
Not specific enough? How's this? We almost made an Olympic documentary. We put almost an entire year into a story about an Olympic runner that we thought, and still think, was like one of the most inspiring stories ever. We put hundreds of hours working on treatments, proposals, emails, calls, working with attorneys, filming, and making a bunch of connections as we tried to sell the story. The story was so wild that we almost sold it to Ford.
We had weekly calls with the team that oversaw their relationship with American Idol Extreme Home Makeover.
He loves what he does, so he wants to be the best.
We even had support from the official U.S. Olympic Committee.
But almost a year in, we got the news that it wasn't going to happen.
And it was completely devastating. Or back when we got started, we got connected with this giant YouTube channel that was gonna hire us to send the new iPhone to space. This was gonna be our big break, or so we thought. We spent a full month producing, got a permit to film at a private ranch in Colorado, and even figured out where it would be legal to launch this giant weather balloon to the stratosphere.
But there was one problem. The YouTuber was still in high school, and his parents said if he didn't improve his grades, they were gonna pull the plug on his channel.
Well, why should he get to skip school when everybody else has to go?
Bueller. Ferris Bueller.
So yeah, so much for that one.
For years, we've been pitching our dream project. I don't want to spoil it because we're sure as heck still going to bring it to life, but we've been pitching it for 3 years. In 2018, we were close to selling it to a Fortune 500 company and even shot 2 pilot episodes for them, but the timing wasn't right, so it didn't happen. It was a really tough hit, but we decided we couldn't give up. We ended up almost completely reinventing the show and pursued it with another brand, putting in work for 4 months. Then the most amazing thing happened. We sold it to them.
And we'll get a contract written up. All right, guys, thanks so much.
Our biggest contract ever, and our dream project.
But then 3 days before Christmas, we got the news. They had to pull the plug due to budget cuts. That was the hardest loss we had ever faced. That was going to be the majority of our year, so we entered the new year with uncertainty, leaving no stone unturned. You better believe we're back at the drawing boards and we're not going to give up.
I'm not saying this to discourage you guys. I don't want to get you down. In fact, the opposite. I really believe that if you just keep going, you will eventually get amazing breakthroughs. It's only by not giving up that you'll truly learn what you're really capable of.
And as our friend Justin Forsett says,
greatness grows best in the shadows.
Some of you guys may have heard that we gave a TEDx Talk. What you may not have heard is that it took almost a year for us to accomplish.
We applied to as many events as we could and heard back so many no's.
We finally found a committee that seemed like a perfect fit.
We were months deep into a talk with them when we found out that we weren't chosen. Again, really hard. We had to choose, we weren't willing to give up. We went back to the drawing board, and months later, we got the news. We were invited to speak at one of the largest TEDx events in the country.
You are never too young
too inexperienced, or too unqualified to make a big difference in this world.
Ever since we started our journey as adventure filmmakers, it was our dream to become sponsored by an airline.
And it wasn't easy at all. We literally worked on this for over 3 years consistently. After countless calls, emails, and no's, the call came. We were asked to become 2 of the first 11 brand ambassadors for Southwest Airlines.
A lot of people doubted me when I started taking online classes for college in order to start a business while at school. It seemed weird and out of place because it wasn't the norm. And that criticism honestly was pretty hard to take. But I wouldn't take it back because those years allowed me to devote focus to my passion.
Oh, and get this, after he graduated, his school made a nationally airing commercial on his story. I think it was worth it. I once heard the quote, "Human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think that they're finished." So if that's how you feel right now, do not give up.
Yeah, it's gonna seem dark sometimes, but that's what makes the adventure of life so interesting.
Those are the very chapters that make your story unique and make you irreplaceable. So stay in the game, keep going.
And most importantly, don't be afraid to fail.